So now we have a very exciting news for all of you. And that is that we will be having the live Sundareshwara Paramashiva Sayujya Samadhi Darshan at 10 p.m. IST. So now let us learn about who is Bhagavan Sundareshwara. And so today, during and through the Sundareshwara, Bhagavan Sundareshwara Paramashiva Sayujya Samadhi Darshan, you will be able to experience the superconscious experience of the Shiva Sayujya Samadhi space through the darshan. So you can get ready for the rare and unique species by Sundareshwara Paramashiva. Now let's listen to a small clip where Bhagavan Sundareshwara introduces himself.
Shave. Paramashiva. I will manifest. Cognize this in your Hridaya Akasha, in the Gandha. You will experience my existence. Sundareshwara Paramashiva. The countless, uncountable, by any visualized, assumed mathematics, manifest in me, exist in me, get rejuvenated in me, get deluded inside me, gets liberated inside me. For all the countless Brahmandas to exist, to get created, to get sustained, to get rejuvenated, to get deluded, to get liberated. I am the space.
Yes, so let us just reiterate what Bhagavan Sundareshwara revealed. He says, I will manifest the physics of my existence. You will experience my existence in me. Exist in me. Get rejuvenated in me. Get deluded inside me. Get liberated inside me. For all the to get deluded, to get liberated, I am the space. And all of us know that the world today is going through a lot of suffering, especially for the past 1.5 to 2 years, especially during this pandemic. And according to the United Nations, a new scientific report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change warns that we are on a crash course towards catastrophe if global temperatures are allowed to rise. And the window to slow or even halt some of these worsening impacts is rapidly closing. And the message is clear, we must take action now. So now let us see how the status of our world is today. The state of our world today.
In 2019, fire was spreading throughout our planet, quite literally, in places like Australia and the Amazon basin, where forest blazes supercharged by climate change wreaked havoc. In other places, mass protests flared up, fueled by a combination of job insecurity, growing inequalities, and discontent with the current economic, social, and environmental status quo. The economy has slowed down globally, stifled by trade tensions and political uncertainty. The little growth we have had has failed to reach those who need it the most. Progress towards higher living standards has stalled, for many countries and vulnerable groups of people. This has only deepened inequalities which were already growing in many countries, spurred on by automation, climate change, and other global trends.
The World Health Organization as well. The total cases globally for COVID-19 is 221 million plus till date. And Healthline.com states that new COVID-19 cases have risen to more than 150,000 per day in the United States. And experts warn that with emerging variants, it could lead to another surge in cases. And it is at this time of crisis, Bhagavan Sundareshwara has come down to earth with such extreme compassion for humanity. And he states, "O bound souls, listen intensely. Your impossibility and irresponsibility made you surrender yourself to the delusion. Cognize the ultimate truth. Sundareshwara Paramashiva exists. Sundareshwara Paramashiva exists. The moment you remember me, call me. I am here for you." And Irayana Sundareshwara Paramashiva is the greatest and unique manifestation of Paramashiva and the complete manifestation. He assumes the physical, the subtle and light bodies as and when he wants, and plays with all the physical realities and corrects, alters, intervenes, influences, changes, adds, removes, and deletes anything in the physical plane as and when he likes, without even a reason. Bodies, one being, and sometimes as both in one body. So that is the reason all his manifestations and plays are called Thiruvilayadal. And due to his causeless and limitless compassion, Irayanar Sundareshwara Paramashiva Parampuru is manifesting in all his glory as the Purnavatara through the supreme founder of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Parameshivam as the Nijavatara. And from the Shuddhadvaita Paramashiva Sayujya Samadhi space, Irayanar Sundareshwara Paramashiva Parampuru will be manifesting, and through that supreme manifestation. And Sundareshwara Paramashiva himself has come down again in the form of the supreme founder of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Parameshivam, just to continue his legacy and his leela, and to continue being available for all of us, playing his divine leelas, performing miracles in the lives of all his devotees, attending to our prayers, and continuing the legacy as the ruler of the whole Madurai Shyamala Pita Sarvati Pitam. He has come down as the 293rd Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam and as the supreme point of Hinduism to guide the whole of humanity. And when you have by sitting in front of the screen and watching Bhagavan Sundareshwara, your neurons will mirror the neurons of the avatar, and it will activate the process of all the observed movements and information of the avatar just by seeing. So your entire body can silently and without, as an effect of the mirroring of neurons, all the powerful cognitions and powers of Bhagavan Sundareshwara will be mirrored in God equation. The supreme point of Hinduism beautifully says, nothing is more powerful than power manifestation science. It is you will fall in love with Paramashiva every moment. If he manifests, you know he is real and he is manifesting. Even if you don't manifest what you declared, you will manifest the jnana and vijnana, the knowledge and understanding, possibilities and powers of Paramashiva will manifest in all of you. So now let us have a small introduction. Let us see a small introduction to the supreme point of Hinduism, the one who is giving us this great science, this pure science of Bhava Samadhi Darshan, and manifesting Bhagavan Sundareshwara. So the supreme point of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Parameshivam, is the 293rd Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam of the Kailas and the Shyamala Pita 7th Petam, and is the revelation of Paramashiva as per Hinduism, recognized by his predecessors who are enlightened masters and adepts. The supreme point of Hinduism is ordained as the 233rd Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Kanchi Kailash Sarvam Peetam, the incumbent emperor of Suryavamsha Samrajyam, and the present 293rd Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam of Kailasvan Shyamala Pita Sarvam Peetam, and is the present Mahamandaleshwara of Mahanirvanya Kadat, the largest apex monastic order. So here you can see a few images where From a very young age itself, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been ordained as the 233rd Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Kanchi Kailash Sarvagam. And here you can see the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism worshipping and offering puja to the deities as the incumbent emperor of the Suryavamsha Sarangi Samrajya. And here you can see the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism being coronated as the incumbent emperor of the Suryavamsha Sarangi Samrajya. And here you can see the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism being coronated as the 293rd Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam of the Kailasavannatha Shyamala Pita Sarvagam Pitam, which was established by Bhagavan Paramashiva himself and was and here you can see the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism being coordinated as the Mahamandaleshwar of the Mahanirvani Akada by many other seniors and sannyasis and sadhus from the Mahanirvani Akada. The present 23rd Guru Mahasannidhanam of Dharmamukti Swarga Pramadika and is elected as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism by a congregation of over 1,000. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is also revered as a teacher of Hinduism, the most prolific, most viewed, read, and watched. He has authored 300 books and 10,000 articles in 3 different languages, which are English, Tamil, and Sanskrit. And these have been translated into around the world. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has also given over 10,000 hours of discourses to enrich over 1 billion lives usually. And he has enriched and enriched over 1 billion lives usually. And is respected as a commentator of all sacred scriptures such as Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Shiva Sutras, Brahma Sutras, Yoga Sutras, Ashtavakra Gitas, Jain Sutras, and much more. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is honored as a leader of Hinduism, the most awarded, internationally recognized Hindu leader, the reviver of 108 ancient Hindu sampradayas, including the Rudrakanyas and Rudras, Rishis and Rishikas, Bhairavas and Bhairavis, and Sannyas, and is the establisher of the largest Hindu university, Kailasas Nityananda Hindu University, in the world with satellite campuses in 150 countries, and is the establisher of 1,000+ Kailasa enlightenment ecosystems around the world, is the features in over 20 million digital books. And here you can see some of the spiritual de facto embassies established by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So we have 22 Hindu universities, 186 extended campuses of the Nityananda Hindu University, 242 Nityananda Gurukuls, 22 Nityananda Jnanalayas libraries, 38 temple monastery complexes, 2,175 Paramashiva Sena, 25 e-Kailashas, 1,898 ASP centers, 120 temples, 5,330 temples, 418 Paduka Mandirs, and 2,175 satsang centers. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's peace walks cover 100,000+ kilometers as he gifts the science of healing and many other spiritual sciences to 2 million+ human settlements thus far. And here you can see all the various yatras done by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the Pada Yatras, the world tours, the Himalayan Yatra, Kailash Yatra, Kodikan Ratha Yatra, the Cambodia Yatra, Bali Yatra, and the Vijaya Yatra, and much more. So now, let us understand more about who is Bhagavan Sundareshwara. So Irayana Sundareshwara Paramashiva Parampuru is the embodiment of superconsciousness expressed in the human body, playing with all his glory. The physical, subtle and light bodies as and when he wants, as his divine manifestations. And he plays with all the physical realities and corrects, alters, intervenes, influences, changes, adds, removes, and deletes anything in the physical plane as he likes without even a reason. And Irayana Sundareshwara Paramashiva Parampur is the greatest and unique and complete manifestation of Paramashiva. Consciousness expressed in the human body, playing with all his glory. He came down in the most handsome form to marry Devi Meenakshi and administer the city of Madurai. And the kingdom of Madurai, which is known as the Kailasana of Shyamala Pita Sarvagni Pitam, and which is the oldest Hindu papal state and enlightenment ecosystem that was established by Paramashiva himself. And the kingdom of Madurai was later revived by Lord Sundareshwara and Devi Meenakshi, who as the deities and incarnates of Paramashiva ruled over Madurai and revived the foundation pillars of it as the highest living stream of spiritual sciences. And to ensure that this tradition continues to elevate humanity for millennia, they enthroned their direct representatives and their divine energies in the form of a continuous lineage of living masters, the Guru Mahasannidhanams, with the responsibility to train and groom the kings in administration, constitution, and governance, acting as regents. They also performed the spiritual initiations on the kings and the citizens of the kingdom, imparting the enlightenment science to them. Person, the first being who enlightened master, who they enthroned as their representatives, as the Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Madurai Adinam, which is Tirajnana Sambandha. And there is a beautiful Shastra Pramana which says that the supreme discipline of Adishaiva tradition has been coming down through the continuous lineage of Guru disciple, Adishaiva Guru Parampara, from time its kind and concerned with the ultimate benefit of all the souls. And the Kailasana, the Shyamala Pita Sarvagni Pitam's rare and sacred lineage of pontiffs has been systematically carried over in an unbroken progression from ages. The chosen emissaries of Lord Paramashiva and the Guru Mahasannidhanams of Kailasana, the Shyamala Pita Sarvagni Pitam are the direct representatives of the cosmos. And on the 27th of April 2012, Srila Sri Nityananda Sri Jnana Sambandha Deshika Paramachari Swamigal was formally appointed as the 293rd Guru Mahasannidhanam of Kailasana Shyamala Pita Sarvagni Pitam and is the lawful successor, descendant, and inheritor in the rights vested in Kailasana Shyamala Pita Sarvagni Pitam, and has been reviving its spiritual, religious, and linguistic epicenters to its original glory. So now, let us watch a video on the history of the Kailasana Shyamala Pita Sarvagni Pitam, the Madurai Adinam.
The ancient temple town of Madurai in southern India boasts of a 2,500-year-old history of spirituality. Historians trace Madurai's existence back to the third. Says that Madurai was established by the cosmic mother herself, who incarnated as Princess Meenakshi, daughter of the pious king Malayadwaja Pandian. An able queen and a fearless warrior, Meenakshi expanded her empire right up to Kailash in current China. But when she came face to face with the Lord of Kailash, Shiva himself, she recognized him as her eternal consort and dropped her arms to become Shiva's companion for life.
Along with Shiva, also known as Sundareshwara or the beautiful Lord, Meenakshi reigned over her kingdom for a glorious 166 years.
In course of time, with the rise of Jainism as a religious force, Madurai too fell to its powerful influence, and Shaivism all but vanished from the sacred kingdom where Shiva himself had once walked the earth. The renaissance of Shaivism in Madurai was the sacred task of a child incarnation, Tirujnana Sambandha, one of the four visionary saints of Shaiva Siddhanta tradition. The story goes that as a baby, Tirunjana Sambandar was once nourished by the milk of enlightenment from the cosmic mother herself. This child prodigy arrived in Madurai to effortlessly defeat the learned Jain monks with his wisdom, healing powers, and spiritual prowess, and restored Madurai to her beloved religion, Shaivism, by reviving the ancient Madurai Adinam and the Meenakshi temple, which had fallen to desolate ruin. Madurai Adinam is today the world's oldest living Hindu organization, with a recorded history alone spanning a glorious 1,500 years and an unbroken lineage of illustrious pontiffs to this very day. Over the centuries, Madurai Adinam has been patronized by the likes of Tipu Sultan, Robert Nobili, and the poet saint Vallalar. The pontiff of the Madurai Adinam is known by the title Guru Mahasannidhanam and inherits the responsibility of carrying forward the traditions of Tirunjana Sambandar's sacred work.
On 27th April 2012, a new era began in the history of Jnana Sambandha Desika Paramacharya Swamigal, guided by intuition and inducement by Lord Shiva, coronated a charismatic young saint,
Pragmatic social visionary, and an adept in mystical sciences. His Holiness Paramahamsa Nityananda is revered as a devout, sweeping changes to the Adinam, including the renovation of the ancient monastery, Annadan, free food for thousands every day, free medical camps, yoga classes, scriptural study, spiritual healing, and meditation programs. The traditional Adinam now has a website, live streaming, and two-way video conferencing. Vast properties belonging to the Adinam are being reclaimed from illegal encroachment. Its numerous temples are being basic amenities, education, and medical care being provided for all. His Holiness dreams of an authentic Vedic renaissance,
of making Madurai Adinam as an international religious organization. Saiva tradition alive, revived, lived, celebrated all over the world.
With a brand new pontiff at its helm, Madurai Adinam promises to be more than just another traditional monastery, as a whole generation turns to spirituality for answers. The changes at Madurai enlightened government of the new world.
Yes, and today for all of humanity, out of billions of people on planet Earth, we are the most blessed people. As for us, Sundareshwara is not a history, but a happening. And Divine Holiness Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Paramashiva, as Swamiji, as the 1008th living incarnation of Paramashiva, to revive Hinduism and to continue being available to all of us playing his divine leelas, performing miracles in the lives of all his devotees, attending to our prayers, and continuing the legacy as the ruler of the whole Madurai, the Shyamala Pita Seva Pitam, and as the supreme fount of Hinduism, to guide the whole of humanity. And Paramashiva actually assumed the physical body 11 times in Madurai just to perform his divine. And if you connect with that energy, he will give you the same blessing. So understand that Sundareshwara Paramashiva is the energy of Leela, playfulness. The Leela where Bhagavan Sundareshwara heals the Pandyan king's fever. So the Tirumalayadal Puranam, which is a collection of 64 arts, 64 Leelas, is and compiled by Paranjoti. So they describe the actions of Bhagavan Paramashiva on planet Earth in a number of disguises to test his devotees. So each of Sundareshwara's dimensions are recorded as one of his Leelas. And in the Vedic tradition, we have 64 different arts. And each leader, a complete being, has to master the 64 arts. And in that, even horse riding is one, astrology is mastery in music, and various other arts as well. So each Leela of Sundareshwara proves his mastery on each art. There was never ever such an amazing imagination or visualization of the ultimate without reducing its Ananta Kalyana Gunas into human level. So now let us see who the Nayanmars are. The Supreme Point of Hinduism has actually spoken elaborately on the Leelas of Bhagavan Paramashiva. And you can watch videos on YouTube where Swamiji has spoken about it. So now let us see who are Nayanmars. So the Nayanars or Nayanmars were a group of 63 saints living in Tamil Nadu during the 3rd to the 8th century CE, who were devoted to Paramashiva. And the list of Nayanmars was initially compiled by Sundaramurti Nayanar in his poem Tirutondatogai. And he sings in 11 verses the names of the Nayanar saints up to Karikalamaya and refers to himself as the servant of servants. And the list goes into detail of the lives of the saints, which were described in detail in works such as Devadam. And as we saw before, Paramashiva assumed the physical body 11 times in Madurai, just and an independent entity. And if you connect with that energy, he will give you that same blessing. So understand that sadhyana. So today, let us meditate on the 62nd Leela, where Paramashiva heals the Pandyan king, who is known for his magnanimity and who stood tall due to his widespread fame, was born with hunchback. Hence, people called him as Kun. Though the king Kun Pandyan took birth in the Pandya clan, which had deep devotion for Paramashiva, due to the ill effect of his long association with Samanas, the people who had misunderstood the ideas of Jainism to spread violence, he had not only fallen in their trap, but also received the initiations too. So what to do? It is difficult to revert from the association with the wicked people. In a clan consisting of great devotees of Paramashiva, which was quite sincere and integrated in observing the truths revealed in Vedas and performing the duties prescribed in the Vedas without any hindrance, a boy named Jnana Sambandar was born. Goddess Parvati herself protected the child by feeding her breast milk, who was once struggling without his biological mother. After this incident, people are addressing the child as Jnana Sambandhan or Jnana Puranan, as the child who got enlightened at the childhood itself by the grace of Goddess Parvati. The child who was the pride of the Brahmin community, was the reincarnation of underlying truths. As the testimony, he clearly explained the supremacy of Lord Shiva. And Jnana Samandir, being the embodiment of the tattvas like sacred ash, Rudraksha, and the Shadakshara mantra, Saravanabhava of Lord Muruga, was considered as an enlightened being, and some people worshipped him as a result of their good deeds in the past births and won over the evil attacks of the Kali Yuga. While the king Poonpandian's clan was surrounded by the harmful darkness of ignorance, due to the preaching of the Samana-acharyas, the queen and the minister remained. Both the queen and the minister, who had incomparable and deep devotion at the lotus feet of Jnanasamanda, explained to him about the position of the king and tried to save the king, who was drowned in the heat of the dilapidated well, which was deep ignorance. And once King Kun Pandit was attacked by extremely high fever and was struggling. All the efforts taken by the Samana Acharyas for the king to heal the king were unsuccessful. At that time, the enlightened master Jnanasamanta, while entering the king's palace, remembered the form of Lord Shiva, who was truth, Shivoham, I am Shiva, in his inner space for a moment, and looked at the king, who was affected by the heat of high fever. He showered his grace on the king through his eyes. Saint Jnanasamanta, who was established as per Sanatana Dharma, smeared the sacred ash on the forehead of the king as a result of the good deeds performed by the king in his previous birth. And he also applied the sacred ash on the chest of the king with his right hand, which had worshipped the divine feet of Lord Shiva. While applying the sacred ash, Jnanasamandar also sang the divine and healing verse, Tiranitra Padikam. And on receiving the sacred touch of the divine hands of Jnanasamandar, which is described in the Rudram, the Vedic chant of Lord Shiva, as the most auspicious, the most holy and healing medicine of the three worlds, the king got rid of high fever instantly. As the heat existing in the stomach was spreading all over the body, the queen too became very happy about the complete healing of the king. She rejoiced that not only the physical heat of the king got healed, but the religious heat of the Samanar, the people who had misunderstood the ideas of Jainism to spread violence, was also put off in the king's life. And the physical heat, which got removed from the king's body by the graceful eyes of Jnana. And 80,000 Samanars were living in the 8 mountains all over earth. They were adept in many various forms of pranayama. When they got defeated by Jnanasamandar while curing the physical illness of the king, the wandering devotee of Lord Shiva, they decided to win over him by debating with him. Hence, all of them gathered in Madurai. Jnanasamandar was an expert in various fields like Vyakarana, Mimamsa, Tarka, and was well versed in the philosophies of the Upanishads. The moment the Jain monks, the Samana Acharyas, approached truth categorically right by the justifications of philosophy like Mimamsa Shastra, and is well established by the inquiries of the Tarka Shastra, leaving aside all the valuable justifications, the Jain monks wanted to win over Jnanasamandar just by their mere faith. So here in this story, we all just saw how the king was healed from high fever. So now let us see of how the king got healed of the hunched back as well. So Kun Pandyan was a great king who had conquered the Chera and Cholan kingdoms, and he had married Mangai Karasi, the daughter of the Cholan king, and the Pandya traditions. But Mangai Karasi, who was a great lady and a woman of a stature of a sage, was a Shaivan. And during this period, people belonging to King Nedumaran got attracted towards the Jain sect, and he announced an order that all his citizens should follow the Jain sect. Have the courage to speak to the king, to the great king on this matter. And people were also afraid to come to the Meenakshi Amman temple. The queen, Mangayakarsi, decided to pray to Lord Sundareshwara and talk to him on the worst state of affairs. She took the minister Kulchiyar along with her to the temple and prayed to God. At that moment, a Brahmin came inside the shrine, and the Brahmin saluted the queen and said, "O queen, I am residing in the Chola country. I am on my visit to various divine places. I came here thinking of worshipping Lord Sundareshwara of Madurai. I inquired with people here as to why no one is there in the temple. I became sad on hearing that the citizens are following the Jain sect, and hence no one is visiting the temple." And this Brahmin was actually Tirunavakarasar, another great saint in India. So the queen immediately wrote a letter and gave it to Tirunavakarasar and said, "O Brahmin, somehow or the other, hand this over to Trignana Samandar and ask him to visit Madurai." The Brahmin, Tirunavakarasar, got to know that Trignana Samandar is staying in Vedaranya, and he went there. And immediately after reading the manuscript, the letter given by the queen, Trignana Samandar decided to visit Madurai. But Tirunavakarasar said to him, "O Lord, you may not be knowing the Jains. I, the one who was affected by them, know about Jainism. Further, the planetary positions are not conducive for journey. Please start on an auspicious day." Trignana Samandar replied to him, "O Lord, we sang the song, Veyu Toli Pangan Vidamunda Kannan Nalla Vinay Therapi. And even today, those who feel that they will be affected by the adverse positions of planets in their birth chart sing this song." And without bothering about the planets, Samandar immediately left for Madurai, and Mangayakarsi, upon knowing that of Trignana Samandar's arrival in Madurai, felt very happy. Samandar got infuriated and he immediately sang a collection of songs, Padikams, and began with the lines Chayane Tirualavai Neviya. So each and everyone that are watching us, so that you continue to have a blissful and a profound experience
மதுரையின் அரசே மதுரையின் அரசே மதுரையின் அரசே மதுரையின் அரசே மீண்டும் வந்து இந்த புவியினை ஆண்டிடும் மதுரையின் அரசே மதுரையின் அரசே மதுரையின் அரசே கடல் தீர நீ எங்களை காத்திடவே நாள்தோறும் உனக்காக காத்து நின்றோம். ஆயிரம் வீரர்களை மீண்டும் நீ புரிவதை பக்தி கொண்டு நாங்கள் பாட வந்தோம். சக்திகளும் புத்திகளும் நீ அருளும் வேலையிலே துக்கம் எல்லாம் தீரும் நித்யானந்தா. பக்தியோடு உனை நாடிய ஜீவனை முக்தனாக்கி வாழும் நித்யானந்தா. அருளையின் புதல்வனே மதுரையின் மருகனே அம்மையின் நாயகனே மீண்டும் வந்தாய். அருளாட்சி புரிந்திட ஆன்மீகம் தழுத்திட உலகமெல்லாம் ஆளும் நித்யானந்தா. மதுரையின் அரசனே மதுரையின் அரசனே மதுரையின் அரசனே உங்கள் மதுரையின் அரசனே.
சைவத்தை யோக செய்து பக்தி நெறி பரப்பி சைவத்தை யோக செய்து அஞ்ஞான மலமறுத்து சிவமாக்கியமையாண்ட கைலாயம் தனிலுரையும் நித்யானந்த பரம்பொருளே. கைலாயம் தனிலுரையும் நித்யானந்த பரம்பொருளே. ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். நெறியில்லா வாழ்வுதனில் குரலும் இம்மக்களுக்கு நெறியில்ல வாழ்வுதனி குரலும் இம்மக்களுக்கு நெறியுடைய வேதத்தின் பொருளை அறிவித்து நெறியுடைய வேதத்தின் பொருளை அறிவித்து வீடு வேறு நாங்கள் அடைய விந்தைகள் செய்த கைலாயம் தனிலுரையும் நித்யானந்த பரம்பொருளே. கைலாயம் தனிலுரையும் நித்யானந்த பரம்பொருளே. ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். பொய்யெல்லாம் மெய் என்று அஞ்ஞான திமிரேறி பொய்யெல்லாம் மெய் என்று அஞ்ஞான திமிரேறி பாவங்கள் பல செய்து கர்மங்களை மூட்டை கட்டி பாவங்கள் பல செய்து கர்மங்களை மூட்டை கட்டி பிறப்பெடுத்த பல உயிர்க்கு ஞானத்தை அருள வந்த கைலாயம் தனிலுரையும் நித்யானந்த பரம்பொருளே. கைலாயம் தனிலுரையும் நித்யானந்த பரம்பொருளே. ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். ஓம் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவோகம். மன்னதனில் பிறந்த இது மாண்டு விடும் உயிர்களுக்கு மன்னதனில் பிறந்த இது மாண்டு விடும் உயிர்களுக்கு எண்ணமிலா வாழ்வு தரை வாழ வைத்து சீர் செய்த எண்ணமிலா வாழ்வு.
Started now. No, it is there for thousands of years. Whatever is in the scripture, is in the tradition, I am just reviving and making it user friendly for everyone in the modern day. That's it. Sincere, intense hard work. That's all. That's all is the definition of a reviver. The moment I get up and sit from Samadhi, come on, next. What happened to the temple? Have they started growing flowers? Paramashiva has said in Agama. And then next, what happened to Gurukul? The new kandi which I wanted to make for all the Gurukul kids, is it done? Then come on, sacred arts? Is this deity done, that statue done? Then come on, vision department, what is going on? Continuous, intense, sincere hard work. That's it. If I have to put my whole life in one statement, simple involvement and straight hard work. The hard work done before the smart work. Understand? Involving, directly involving. Fools wait for perfection. Simple leaders get involved. Get involved. Involving, simple sheer hard work is manifestation, Mangalatva, in everything. Involvement, 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 involvement. The purpose is not to get some Oscar award or some. The purpose is put a smile on people's face, that's it. Smile on your face is the award I need.
Nityananda, we all, from Kailasa's Nityaneshwara Paramashiva Devasthanam, with our deep love and gratitude, invite the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, our beloved Swamiji, for this year's Navaratri celebrations.
We love you, Swamiji!
Nityanandam. Mandagapadi is the offering of various number of offerings at the feet of a deity as a mark of worship and respect. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Shri Nityananda Paramashivam, is the embodiment of all the gods and goddesses. Inviting our Guru, who is the embodiment of all the gods and goddesses, for a festival through the sacred ritual of offering Mandagapadi brings forth the grace and blessings of Paramashiva as Deva Anugraha and Guru as Guru Anugraha, and makes the festival a huge success. Mandagapadi is preview of the Navaratri Brahmotsavam to come. It is a gracious gesture and an offering towards our beloved Swamiji to express to him our devotion and love. The preparations for celebrating the Navaratri Brahmotsavam begin immediately after the Navaratri Brahmotsavam gets over. So all year we are building the excitement and eagerness for this Brahmotsavam. Mandagapadi is not just a traditional invitation to Swamiji, but it is a display of all of our anticipation and preparation for the most awaited Brahmotsavam of the year. A Brahmotsavam where we celebrate Paramashakti and Parandhama, Devi and Mahavishnu. And today, the Dhwajarohana of the Venkateshwara Brahmotsava will be at 5 p.m. on October 7th. Today, we present the Navaratri Brahmotsava Patrike to His Divine Holiness, Swamiji. With Sakshat Dandavat Pranams at the Divine Lotus feet of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Swamiji, we now welcome him and offer the rituals presenting the flag of the Venkateshwara Brahmotsavam. in the Patrike.
नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिव समारम्भाम् नित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्ति मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ललाटे त्रिपुण्ड्रीनितिलकृतकस्तूरी तिलकः स्फुरन्मालाधार स्फुरितकटिकौपीनवसनः ददानो दुष्टारम् शिरसि फणिराजम् शशिकलाम् प्रदीपः सर्वेषाम् अरुणगिरियोगी विजयते। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। ॐ न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन ध्यायेनैके अमृतत्वमानसो परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजे सत्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्था सञ्जातयोगाद्यतयः शुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे दह्रं विभावं परमेश्वरभूतं यजपुटैकं पुरमद्यसकृष्टं तत्रापि दह्रं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपादितव्यं यो वेदादो प्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिः तस्य परस्य महेश्वरः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंस्वस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। श्रीकैलासोन्नतद्वादशान्तश्यामलापीठारूढ श्रीमीनाक्षी सुन्दरेश्वराभिन्नस्वरूप परशिवपुत्ररत्न कुमार गुरुमण्यतुल्यावतार श्रीपार्वती स्तन्यपानलब्धदिव्यज्ञान विश्रुतसकलनिगमागमसारभूत द्राविड वेद प्रवक्त्रे श्रीमत्परमशिव करुणा समधिगत मुक्तामय चतुरश्रयान गीयमान छत्रचामर श्रीचिह्नकाहलादि समस्त विरदावल्यलङ्कृत ज्ञान विज्ञान चक्रवर्ती सर्वजन संघ सत्यो निर्वाण दीक्षा व्ययापवर्ग वर्ष विश्राण जीभूत परमत कलभकेसरी शैव सिद्धान्त स्थापनाचार्य श्रीराजाधिराज पाण्ड्य महाराज गुरु सपन शाक्यादि महान्धकार निवारण ज्ञान भानु वीक्षणानर्हार्हध्वजोच्छेदन पूर्वक श्रीमद्ऋषभध्वजस्थापक दैव समय कर्त्रे साक्षात् श्री परमशिव समुद्भूत श्री ज्ञान संबंध देशिक स्वामी वागीश सुंदर माणिक्य वाचक स्वामिना अवतारभूत श्रीज्ञानसम्बन्ध स्वामी पुनरुद्धृत श्यामलापीठ सर्वज्ञपीठ दृढवत्युत्तरद्विशततम गुरुमहासन्निधान अरुणगिरि योगीश्वर परम्परागत अरुणाचल सर्वज्ञपीठ गुरुमहासन्निधान कैलास परम्परागत काञ्ची कैलास सर्वज्ञपीठ त्रयस्त्रिंशदुत्तरद्विशततम गुरुमहासन्निधान नित्योत्सव नित्यमङ्गल नित्यकल्याण नित्यरचित आदिकैलास नित्यानन्दपीठ महासंस्थान महासिंहासन पीठ कर्त्रे साक्षात् श्री परमशिव समुद्भूत कैलास परम्परागत वैवस्वतमनु इक्ष्वाकु हरिश्चन्द्र भगीरथ श्रीरामचन्द्र शूरसेन इत्या जरवच्छिन्न सार्वभौम चक्रवर्ति परम्परागत चतुष्षष्टि योगिनी मण्डित चतुष्षष्टि संप्रदाय प्रवर्तक मनुधर्म शासन सूर्यवंश प्राप्त सर्वज्ञपीठ सुरांगी साम्राज्य मूर्ताभिषिक्त चूडामणि साक्षात् श्री परमशिव समुद्भूत कपिल महागुरु पुनरुद्धृत महानिर्वाणि पीठ अष्टोत्तर सहस्र श्री महामण्डलेश्वर साक्षात् श्री परमशिव समुद्भूत श्री महागणपति समारंभ अनवच्छिन्न पीठाधीश्वर गुरु परंपरा प्राप्त अटल पीठ अष्टोत्तर सहस्रतम अष्टोत्तर सहस्र श्री अटल पीठाधीश्वर धर्म मुक्ति स्वर्गपुर स्वर्ण पीठ त्रयोविंश गुरु महासन्निधान कैलास परम्परागत आदिपीठ सर्वज्ञपीठ जगद्गुरु श्री कैलास पुनरुद्धारक श्री कैलास परमाचार्य श्रीमत्परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य वर्य सच्चिदानंद प्रणव स्वरूप श्रोत्रिय ब्रह्मनिष्ठ श्रीमज्जगद्गुरु श्रीलश्री भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव श्री ज्ञान संबंध देशिक पराचार्य स्वामिन् अत्रागत्य परिपाल्य च अस्मान् विज्ञान वितरणेन विजयी भव जय जय। ॐ दशाङ्गं गुग्गुलोपेतं सुगन्धं च सुमनोहरम् आघ्रेय सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम् सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः धूपमाघ्रापयामि। ओम साज्यं त्रिवर्ति संयुक्तं वह्निना योजितं मया ग्रहाणमङ्गलं दीपं त्रैलोक्यतिमिरापहम् सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः एकहार्ति दीपं सन्दर्शयामि। ओम अमृते अमृतोद्भवे अमृतवर्षिणी अमृतं श्रावय श्रावय स्वाहा सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमो नमः। अमृतं महानैवेद्यं निवेदयामि। सूर्यो भाति नक्षत्रतारकम् नेमा विद्युतो भाति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वम् तस्य भासा सर्वमिदम् विभाति कर्पूरगौरम् करुणावतारम् संसारसारम् भुजगेन्द्रहारम् सदा वसन्तम् हृदयारविन्दे भवम् भवानी सहितं नमामि भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः कर्पूरनीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि
मङ्गलं कल्पवृक्षाय मङ्गलं ज्ञानदायिने सदाशिवाय श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वराय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं श्रीविद्याम्बायै मङ्गलं कामदायिन्ये सर्वमङ्गलदात्री नित्यानन्देश्वर्ये मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं गुरुदेवाय मोक्षमूलाय मङ्गलम् परावतार नित्यानन्दाय गुरवे मङ्गलम्
அருட்பெருங்கடலே அண்ணாமலை தந்த ஆண்டவனே நித்யானந்த புரிதனிலே அருளாட்சி செய்யும் நித்யானந்தனே ஞானச்சுடரே தியான திருவுருவே
பரமசிவ 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 இறையனார் சுந்தரேசன் இருப்பால் மலர்ந்து உங்கள் எல்லோர்க்குள்ளும் உயிர்ப்பாய் நிறைந்து நன்மை செய்து உண்மை தந்து உயர்வினை காட்டி உருப்பொருளுறுத்தி கைலாசமும் காட்டி மங்களம் அருளி நன்மையலாந்தந்திட வந்துதித்தோம் இங்கு வளர்ந்து மலர்ந்தோம் இங்கு கணபதி பேரருளால் மங்களமாய் நவராத்திரி திருவிழா துவங்கட்டும். மங்கள மண்டகப்படியொடு உலகிற்கெல்லாம் மங்களந்தரும் நவராத்திரி நல்லுற்சவம் நன்மையோடு மலரட்டும். கேதார கௌரி விரதம் துவங்கட்டும். இந்த நவராத்திரி நன்னாளிலே இறையனார் சுந்தரேசன் அருள் பெற பரமேஸ்வரி பேரருள் வெற்றிட பரந்தாமன் எல்லா மங்களமும் அளித்திட பரமசிவ பரம்பொருள் நல்லருள் செய்தோம். நன்மையே அமையும். நன்மக்கள் அனைவரும் நன்றாய் கேளுங்கள். இந்த நவராத்திரி திருநாள் தசமி வரை ஏற்கனவே உடல் உள்வாங்கி குடலுக்குள் நிறைத்திருக்கும் உணவையே உயிர் தரும் ஹவிசாக்கி பரமசிவ 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 எனும் ஒலியையே வேத மந்திரமாக்கி வெறும் சுடுநீற்றையே நெய்யாய்ச் சொரிந்து ஜடராக்னியில் யாகம் செய்திட உள்ளது உள்ளபடி சிவஞானாக்னியாய் மலர்ந்து ஊன் உருக்கி உள்ளொளி பெருக்கும் இடுப்பின் மடிப்பு கரையும் வரை பசித்திரு இடையின் உடை கரைபடாதவரை தனித்திரு விடையலாம் உணர்வில் தெளிவாகும் வரை விழித்திரு மோக்ஷ பதவி சிவஞான பதவி எல்லோர்க்கும் அமையும் தவம் சொன்னோம் கேளுங்கள். எல்லோர்க்கும் மங்களம் ஆகட்டும், எல்லோர்க்கும் நன்மையாகட்டும். ஓம் பரமசிவ பரமசிவ பரமசிவ.
நித்யானந்தனே சத்குருநாதனே அருள் தாரும் நித்யானந்தனே. பக்தியுடன் ஆடவா உன் பதம் நாடவா எமக்கு வேறு என்ன வேண்டும் ஆண்டவா. அருள் தரும் அப்பனேவா நித்யானந்தனேவா பக்தர் கூடி நின்றோம் காக்க நீயும் வா. மறை சொல்லும் பித்தாவா நித்ய சித்தாவா ஞான வித்தை அருள் செய்திட நீ வா. நித்யானந்த சுரண கொண்டாட்டம் தெய்வீக கொண்டாட்டம் நித்யானந்த சுரண ஆனந்த கொண்டாட்டம். அருள் தரும் அப்பனேவா நித்யானந்தனேவா நித்யானந்த சுரணம் அருள நீயும் வா. தர்மம் காக்க நித்யானந்தனாக வந்தாய் நீ கர்மம் நீக்க நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தந்தாய் நீ. தர்மம் காக்க நித்யானந்தனாக வந்தாய் நீ கர்மம் நீக்க நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தந்தாய் நீ. அம்மையப்பனாக உலகை ஆளுகிற என்றால் நீ உன் சொற்கள் ஞான சத்தியங்கள் யாவும் கேட்க மக்கள் கூடும் கொண்டாட்டம் தெய்வீக கொண்டாட்டம் நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணானந்த கொண்டாட்டம் அருள் தரும் அப்பனேவா நித்யானந்த நேவா நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் அருள நீயும் வா. ஜகத்தி தண்ணி சேரும் கொண்டாட்டம் தெய்வீக கொண்டாட்டம் நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணானந்த கொண்டாட்டம் அருள் தரும் அப்பனேவா நித்யானந்த நேவா பக்தர் கூடி.
ஓம் பரமசிவ 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 பரமசிவ.
வழிகாட்டிடும் தெய்வம் அவர் தானம்மா. அழகா வழக்கம் கேட்ட சின்ன புள்ள விளங்கிடுச்சா சொல்லு புள்ள. நித்யானந்தர் சொன்ன சொல்ல நாம எல்லோரும் வாழணும் வாழ்க்கையில. வழக்கம் கேட்ட சின்ன புள்ள விளங்கிடுச்சா சொல்லு புள்ள. நித்யானந்தர் சொன்ன சொல்ல நாம எல்லோரும் வாழணும் வாழ்க்கையில.